Hello everyone and welcome back to our next video. Today we are going to be talking about one of my personal favorite coins of all time as a collector, and that is the Morgan silver dollar. Now, this is a very iconic coin that you've probably seen before, with this being the front of the coin and this being the back of the coin. We'll talk about these a little bit more as we get into it, but the Morgan silver dollar was minted between 1878 and then was minted up until 1904. And had a gap and came back for one last year in 1921, which this is the 1921 right here. Another fact about Morgan silver dollars is that they were made at 5 different mints. Now, the mint marks can be seen right here underneath the tail feathers. This one is so hard to see since it's so wore. But if I flip this one over, if I can get that to zoom in there, you can maybe just barely see that S right there. And this is a 1921 S coin. And so there's, of the 5 mints, there is the Philadelphia mint, which is with no marking down here. Then there is the San Francisco, which is the S, which is what this one is. So this coin was minted in 1921 in San Francisco. There's New Orleans, which is O, and then there's Carson City, which is CC. Carson City typically will draw a premium. So if you happen to have a Carson City or looking at them, not all the cases, and it really depends on the year, but in general, Carson Cities are a little bit more special and do draw a premium, especially as silver has done as it's been over the last few months and greatly increased. These Carson City Morgans can still hold some value from a numismatic standpoint. And then finally, the D for Denver. And so those are the 5 mints of the Morgan silver dollar. Now, these are just some of the facts about the Morgan silver dollar before we really get into the meat of the presentation / the video today, and that is talking about what is the future of the Morgan silver dollar going to look like with prices of silver going as high as they have been. One of the things that you've seen is that a lot of Morgan silver dollars and other like coins are being melted down. And I know you might be wondering if actual U.S. tender currency can be melted down. And the general rule on that is if it is a currently in production, currently made silver coin, such as, you know, your standard quarter, that is not something that you can melt down. However, something, and that would be like quarters before 1964. However, if it's, those would be okay. But on something like a Morgan silver dollar, these right here that are no longer in production, the last one being made in 1921, those can be melt down, and each silver Morgan does have 0.773-ish ounces of pure silver. So they definitely do have some value from a silver standpoint. But kind of as we mentioned with silver prices going up, the numismatic value of most Morgans has kind of been pushed to the wayside, and now Morgans, and most of them, are really just worth their melt value, and that's about it. And that's what we're seeing, a lot of Morgans being melted. And, you know, genuine collectors of Morgans, they're probably still going to be holding on to a lot of these. What this is more than likely going to do is get rid of a lot of your low-grade Morgans, such as this one right here, you know, pretty roughed up. Those are going to be much more likely to be pushed to the wayside and melted down, and really you're going to be left with your higher grade, more specialty years of Morgans. One thing about the Morgan in general is the melt value only will go to so much. The silver value will eventually have some limit. However, there is a collectible factor to several of these Morgans at special years that the melt price of silver will really never get to. So there'll always be some numismatic value and collectability of several of these Morgans, and that's an important thing to think about if you're considering stacking Morgan silver dollars as a potential way to collect silver. Now, as we continue to make our projection on what is going to happen to the future of the coin industry for the Morgan silver dollar, I believe that it's safe to say that melt pressure is going to decrease over time. Right now, a lot of the Morgans that are being scrapped for their metal value are ones that are not special years, they're common years, and they're probably in not very good grades. As a lot of times, your more valuable Morgans are going to come from specific mints and specific years, and also ones that are in much nicer condition, as condition is a very important factor for Morgan silver dollars. And I believe that as that continues, there will be less available Morgans on the market, so that is probably going to slow down. I would imagine that to continue for at least 12 months as silver continues to, you know, do the fluctuations that we've seen over the past year. I also think that in this time, pricing is going to be tied much closer to that of silver, especially in these common years, as there are a lot of Morgans in abundance and available right now. However, at more of a midterm, in the 3 to 5 year time frame, there's definitely going to be less available common year Morgans, as a lot of those may have gotten disposed of for their silver value. Premiums are likely going to start to raise, especially on the more collectible and sought after coins. But kind of what I'm really excited about as a long-term avid collector, especially of the Morgan silver dollar, is what the long-term outlook could potentially be on these coins. I think that as silver continues to go up and more Morgans start to get scrapped out, I do think that there will be somewhat of a scarcity brought to these Morgans. And over a longer period of time, I do believe that there will be more attention brought back. And I actually think that the collection as a whole for the Morgan silver dollars and a lot of other coins in general will come back, as it's going to be looked at as a means of investment. And, for a long time, coins like this were very much actively collected, and they still are actively collected. But I do think some of that has slowed in recent years up until some of the craze with silver. So it's definitely kind of exciting to see from that standpoint. But I'm definitely hoping, and I definitely think that this will help reinvigorate a lot of the coin industry, especially as silver prices start to hit some sort of new normal, which, not really sure what that's going to be at this time. There's obviously a lot of speculation that can be done. Just kind of interested and excited to see where it all shakes up. But until then, thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know down below your thoughts. Definitely an avid collector and long-term enthusiast in general, so definitely appreciate it. Thanks.